Your ears do not deceive you. You have just entered the Cryptid Creator Corner brought to you by your friends at Comic Book Yeti. So without further ado, let's get on to the interview.
Hello and welcome to Comic Book Yeti's Cryptid Creator Corner. I am one of your hosts, Jimmy Gasparo, and I have a returning guest. I love when people are on the podcast and then they come back. It's like, oh, they had a nice time, so they want to come back and talk about more comics that they're making and they have coming out. And so I am here with Olivia Cuartero-Briggs, and she is back talking about her new graphic novel, The College Try. It is coming out through Maverick. It's going to be out at your local comic book shop February 18th, 2026. Make sure you let your comic book shop know that you want a copy. But please, welcome back to the podcast, Olivia Cuartero-Briggs. Olivia, how you doing today?
I am great. I think we're both kind of snowed in at this point, yeah?
Yes. My neighborhood, I mentioned it earlier before we started recording, but my neighborhood has not been plowed, so I'm not going anywhere.
Yep.
But yeah, and just kind of shoveling a little bit, like in phases to shovel stuff outside, and the kids have
Yeah.
gone out. They've gone sledding a little bit and
Oh,
ran around.
nice.
Ran around with the neighbors, and then we have a dog. Our dog Barry is a 1-year-old golden retriever, and our neighbors were fostering a dog. Our neighbors around the corner were fostering a dog, and then they foster failed, so now they have a new dog, Cooper, who is about 8 months, who is a big dog as well. They're both 75 pounds. So that was the other great thing today. We walked over to the neighbors, and Barry and Cooper got to run around and play in the snow. So we had a doggy play date.
That's lovely, but I'm concerned about this foster fail. What is that? What
Yeah.
does that mean when you're
That means when
foster
you try.
failed?
That means you sign up to foster a dog, and you're going to foster the dog and hope that somebody else is going to adopt the dog, and then you fail at that, and you end up keeping the dog. So
Oh, so it's like a
yeah,
happy ending. Okay, I was
yes,
so I'm such a
yeah,
dog lover. You can see
yeah.
this is my dog Milo in the background here, who's actually half golden retriever. He's an
Oh,
Afghan hound golden retriever. Very, very strange mix. I get comments everywhere I go, but I'm such a dog lover that I just heard like dog and fail, and I was like, what does that mean?
yeah.
Okay,
No,
well
no,
that's
it's a good thing.
great.
It's
Okay.
I mean, yeah. So they were fostering the dog, and then they decided to keep the dog. So it's people.
Oh,
They
that's
say that
lovely.
they foster failed. So Barry is in my dog Barry is in desperate need of friends. So Barry and Cooper got to play in the snow today, and that's always a lot of fun to watch them run around, because Barry, I've never had a dog before that loved the cold and the snow so much. He will we have bells that hang on our slider that lead to our deck. And so rather than having him bark, we trained him to ring the bells.
That's
So
amazing.
he goes up to the slider, he hits them, he rings the bells to go outside,
So
but
cute.
he doesn't go to the bathroom. He just goes and he will just lay in the snow on the deck. He just loves being out in the cold. And
Oh,
so
what a cutie. I wish I could say the
he's
same for
great.
my dogs. But the issue is I'm in Brooklyn, so there's no plowing whatsoever. It's just people out there with shovels. I feel horrible for them. We're completely buried. I barely made it home. I took my daughter to see Little Shop of Horrors this afternoon in Midtown, and they went uptown with their dad via the subway train, but it's covered where they are. But I have exposed train on my way home. And the train I knew I was gonna have trouble getting home. I was surprised I got across the bridge, because the train goes across the Manhattan Bridge, but once we got to DeKalb, it just stopped, and the announcer was like, "So we basically decided we're not a Q train anymore, we're an N train now, so good luck to you." We're all like, "What?" But thankfully, I mean, and this is just New York is so full of magic. These things happen all the time. It just so happened that 2 other women who were right there on the train platform both lived within we all live within 5 blocks of each other.
Okay.
So we all got into a car and drove down. But like I was telling you before, this is the only city in the world where you can hail a cab in a snowstorm and the cab driver gives you shit for being out in the snow. It's like we're paying you.
Yeah.
3
This
or 4 times, because I ended up sitting up front with him 3 or 4 times. He was like, "What are you guys doing?" And I'm just like, "Oh my god, please. I'm a grown
yeah.
ass woman, okay? I needed to get my kids where they needed to go. I don't need to be lectured."
Absolutely.
Um,
Um
but yes,
I'm
it's
never
actually
gonna miss
beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, it is like it is very lovely.
I know you don't like snow, but
I
I think
don't.
it's lovely.
The
It's not
shoveling.
even snow now. It's just ice falling from the sky.
Yeah,
So it
it's just
just now
sleeting.
looks like it's just tinsel coming down. So
Yeah.
I think it's kind of great, but my dogs don't love it because here they put salt everywhere. So they're walking around on the sidewalk and their little paws are burning. And this morning they were both just like whimpering. I felt so bad. But now there's no one out. So I just walk them literally right in the middle of the street because there's no cars, nothing. And the snow is, up to your ankles. So
Yeah. Yeah. Um,
winter
I've never.
fun.
I mean, we're trying. I'm doing my best. The kids help. The kids help because
Yeah.
they like going outside, so that is a big help. I never miss a chance in this podcast though to talk about a musical. So you went and saw Little Shop?
Yes, we saw Little Shop of Horrors today, and it's great. I mean, I went with my youngest, my 6-year-old. It was the first time that she sat through an entire show of this at this level. It's an off-Broadway show. It's on 43rd
Okay.
Street, that theater there. It's been there for a couple of years now. And I'm so ridiculous. There's something wrong with me. I mean, my father was a set designer. And so I grew up in Manhattan Plaza, which is right on 43rd and Ninth. And so I used to go to Broadway shows all the time and off-Broadway shows and of course every single play that my dad did the set for, and then I was an actress for many years. So it's just inundated with the theater. But there's something about musicals to me, like when people start singing and dancing, sometimes it doesn't even matter what they're singing and dancing about. I immediately have to cry. I don't know why. So
Wait, what?
I don't know. I get this is like I get verklempt. I get so moved that I just cry. So like 3 times during Little Shop. I'm crying and my daughter's like, "Are you okay?" And then she kept testing me, but she doesn't like look, she's got to like poke and just make sure that I'm not, wet in the face. So yeah, it was a lot of like her monitoring to make sure that her mother was not losing it. I don't know what it is, but especially like the chorus girls in that show, the 3 chorus girls. Oh, they were like so great. And the woman who played Audrey she was absolutely phenomenal and really, really moving. And so yeah, I'm like exhausted now because I cried my way through Little Shop of Horrors this afternoon at a matinee.
Well, that's okay. It's a great show. Little Shop of Horrors is one of my favorites.
It's
Um,
so good. It's
so
so good. I
yeah.
grew up on it, but I feel bad for every Seymour since Rick Moranis because he just nailed it. It's such a high bar.
It,
But yeah, it's
yeah,
funny that
it
because I
is.
think last time we talked about Kill Train last time.
Yeah.
And did I tell you that I've always seen that as a musical, like a stage musical? Yes, I think we did talk about that.
I think you might have mentioned it. Yeah. I
Yes.
mean that.
I mean, I'm developing it for TV right now, but I've always thought that I would be such a badass stage musical, and I was thinking about it again today. I was like, I wonder if we could just, like, do, like, a pop-up show in the subway or something, because New York is the kind of place where you can do that kind of thing.
Yeah,
But
you could. The fun thing though about like a music, well, first off, there are so many musicals that people wouldn't think are musicals. A lot like there's a ton that make it to Broadway, but bringing a musical to Broadway, and you know this, listeners, if you're not familiar, it's unbelievably expensive, and
right,
so
and makes no
there aren't
money,
makes no money.
and
There aren't many. I mean, every once in a while something hits and does make money, but for every like Les Mis or Cats or Hamilton or Book of
Book of Mormon.
Mormon, there is like a Glory Days that opens and closes on like the same day,
Yeah,
So there's a lot more of those. But there are a ton of musicals out there that like local and regional theaters do. Like I was friends with folks that ran a theater group in Delaware, and they did Evil Dead the musical, they did a Star Wars musical, they did a Toxic Avenger musical. So there's a ton of musicals out there that you wouldn't think. And like
right,
Kill Train is something that is you know, uh, odd enough of a musical property, but that could definitely work. But the idea of
right,
putting it like on a
and the
big
people in the
stage with
front
like
row have, like, splash guards for the blood.
yeah, splatter zone, like Evil Dead the musical. But if you could do this on a rotating stage in order to simulate the moving from train car to train car to train car,
That's so
I
funny
don't
that you said
know.
that because that's always been my idea that it's just one train car, but it's split in half, right? So that you have your set deck people that are changing the set on the other side for when it rotates. That's so funny. All right, I think we got to do this, Jimmy. We got to
I,
make Kiltering the
hey,
musical happen.
well, I would just like to say I did direct the Delaware regional premiere of Evil Dead the musical.
Did you?
Yes, I've only
Way
ever
to
directed a
bury the
musical
lead,
once.
Jimmy.
I I only ever directed a musical once, and it was the Delaware premiere of Evil Dead the musical back in 2008 or 2009. I saw it off Broadway and loved it, and then I told the people I was working with at this local theater, and they got the rights, and they're like, "Well, you're going to direct it." So it's the only time
Wow,
I ever directed a musical, and it was a wonderful time setting up a splatter zone, and I had a great cast.
that's
But
awesome.
yeah, so I know that's really my only experience ever directing a musical. But sometimes you say something like that, and I start to get ideas. So
All right, well, at least I know where to find my director. And hey, maybe a cool theater if they're doing stuff like that. That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
yeah,
they're
Broadway is
they're
not what
pretty
it
good group.
used to be. It's not it's become so commercial. And yeah, the quality has dimmed somewhat. I know they had a rough time during the pandemic, but the last few shows
Yeah,
I've seen, I was because I grew up next to Broadway, and I was seeing these incredible shows. And this was during a time, in the 90s and before the 90s, like leading into it, we had our own celebrities on Broadway. It wasn't Hollywood coming into Broadway and selling tickets, which I understand is kind of a necessity now. But I do think that the best theater in New York is not being made on the Broadway stage. It's the underground productions. It's the off Broadway productions, the workshop productions.
yeah.
So yeah, it's still New York is still a place where if you have a cool underground production that you put together yourself with crowdfunding, people will go see it. They will.
Oh
So
yeah. I've seen some off Broadway stuff. I mean, I've seen some stuff that was off Broadway and still had like Hollywood actors or like known actors. Like a friend of mine had tickets who lives in Connecticut and wasn't able to. I think his girlfriend at the time wasn't able to go, so he had reached out to me because he knows I like musicals, and I didn't really even know what it was, but I just knew it was like off Broadway. But still, it ended up being the 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 David Bowie musical that was like the sequel to what's the David Bowie movie, like Starman? The one, is that the one where he's the alien that comes to Earth? But they did
oh
like
my god.
they did a musical sequel to it that Michael C. Hall from like Dexter fame
Oh
was
my
in,
god, yeah, of course.
and Kristen Milioti was in it as well. She was like the mother on How I Met Your Mother, and she's
Okay.
been in a bunch of stuff since then. But yeah, it was I didn't know too much about it, and it ended up being the night. It ended up being their first show after David Bowie had passed, and it was like one of the most. I think for the last 20 minutes, I was just like sobbing in tears. It was like one of the
Like
most
me. Okay,
moving,
good.
yeah, one of the most moving theater experiences I had ever been a part of. But it was a phenomenal cast. I want to say I think like Anna Sophia Robb might have been in it as well, who's done a ton of stuff on Broadway. But yeah, it was great. But I love Broadway. I love musicals. So all right. Wow, but I guess we should talk about comics. We
Probably,
could
yeah.
just talk about New York and Broadway. But so a couple of things. I was so excited I got to actually meet you in person at Baltimore Comic
Yes,
Con
I
this
know,
past
and I'm
year.
gonna be back this year as well. They're giving me a guest table this year, which I'm so honored. So yeah,
Oh, that's
I've
awesome.
moved up in the ranks. Yeah, it's really awesome. So maybe I'll have one like a big corner table, or maybe they'll still put me in Artist Alley. But either way, it's
Nice.
free. So yes, I felt extremely honored. But that I know it was wonderful to meet you in person. It was
Yeah, it
like
was
it,
so
it took
nice
me a
seeing
minute
you.
because it was out of like now it's IRL.
Yeah.
And yeah, you were there with your kids.
Yeah. My brother and I were there, and we both took our oldest daughters. Charlotte's 13, and my brother's daughter Autumn's 14. It was their first like Comic Con, so it was right around my daughter Charlotte's birthday. So yeah, they had a great time.
That's great.
They walked around, they got some stuff signed, they bought some things. They had a nice time. So it was wonderful. But I was going to say that I picked up the trade of Kill Train, and I also picked up uh, a Mary Shelley
Monster
Monster
Hunter,
Hunter
yeah.
as
Okay.
well, which I really, which I really enjoyed Jew and Adam Glass,
Uh-huh.
and the artwork's done by Hayden Sherman, which like I mean I think he did that back in like 2018 or 2019, but like the career like Hayden Sherman
2018,
has
yeah.
had, yeah, the career Hayden and stuff Hayden Sherman has worked on since then is crazy. And but Mary Shelley Monster Hunter was a ton of fun, but the trade, we're getting to read everything again in Kill Train, like in the trade. It's just it's so good. I listeners, if you still have not checked out Kill Train, I highly recommend it. I really love the
Well, I
story
told you the news
and
about Kill
so
Train
good.
too, right? What
Yeah.
yeah, so I have already written the first book of volume 2. So, the story goes on. And, I don't wanna spoil too much, but I will say that you might not need to be as afraid of the subway anymore, but if you're living in New York and you gotta get to Long Island, I might avoid the Metro North. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh,
Um
okay. Well, I can't wait. Yeah, I really it's Kill Train is one of those stories that I think has a really interesting, premise. Like at first blush, it's kind of a, well, not ridiculous, but it's a somewhat of a,
It's
a
absurd.
far-fetched
Yeah,
kind of premise where you're like, "Oh, they're killing people on the train in order to decrease the population," and it's like, "Well, that would, let's set, like, the the real world of it aside," like, that's, like, your kind of outlandish premise, and I think sometimes stuff like that sounds really good, but can be tough to, land the plane in the execution, but especially the ending of it. Like sometimes you have these really great premise
right.
stories that don't always hit like a satisfying ending. And I was just so impressed with Kill Train, like because like the the ending of it, like that last issue is so well done. It is so well written, well drawn, and it is really a very cathartic experience, like as a reader. I just so impressed by not just the story as a whole, but really how it ended, because I think that can be tough to do when you have such a a big premise and like a lot of story to tell. I think it can kind of be tough to really come to a satisfying conclusion, and I really felt you just nailed it with Kill Train.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. Yeah, it's interesting the feedback that I get about the ending in particular.
Oh, really?
Because yeah, because interestingly, a lot more men seem to have read this book than women, even though it's a woman's story, and I'm very happy about that. I think it's great. I think more men need to be reading women's stories just generally, but it's also exciting for me that it engaged them. But there's a huge swath of these dudes that are like you that felt like, the ending really paid off and they felt it and they were, emotionally connected and they understood the message and the empowerment. And then there's a smaller group of men, but not insignificant, that I can tell were made uncomfortable by the fact that the ending was a message of empowerment. That it was a bigger emotional punch than anything else. And then of course you have like the very Hollywood, like, I don't wanna spoil it too much, but it's kind of like it's the big Hollywood hero ending, right? That aside, the real climax is, it's completely emotional and has so much to do with empowerment and specifically female empowerment. And so, my dad was actually one that was like, "Well, I don't know about that whole emotional ending." And I'm just like, "Oh, man," you can tell the men who are comfortable with their emotions and the ones that aren't. And,
Huh.
I feel like it's very telling, and it's interesting because I think that with most books, when I would get that kind of feedback, I'd be like, "Oh, shoot." But with this book, I there's something very gratifying about the fact that some people are made uncomfortable by female empowerment. It's like, "Okay, I did something in such a strong kind of, well-built and overt way that if you are not totally cool with yourself as an empowered dude, you might be made uncomfortable by this." I don't know. It was gratifying, either way. So, but, it was a very complete story, right? That
Yeah.
arc for Vanessa was very complete. So
Yeah.
in crafting, the arc for the second book, I really had to think about, well, okay, so she's already gotten to this place of knowing she's a badass and working through all of this past trauma and kind of like things that were done to her. So, what would be the next step of that journey? And I thought, well, once you've kind of conquered and gotten past what has been done to you or what you've, kind of suffered in your life, then you have to answer for what you've done. And so that really is the emotional journey of the second book, is that it starts out Vanessa's a fugitive. She's she's killed people, right? She wasn't supposed to escape this kill train, so now the city's
Right.
after her. And they are campaigning very heavily against her. They want everyone in the city to know that she's a bad person. And so they've dug up some stuff on her. And I was very it was very meaningful to me. Like, yes, these things are bad and some of them are taken out of context, but it doesn't make them not true. So how do we handle the things in our past that we are ashamed of? Whether or not they're in context, and even in contextualizing them, how do we not let ourselves off the hook? How do we deal with who we've been and where we've gone, in an adult, healthy way, and not
Yeah.
like make a bunch of excuses for ourselves, right? Which
Right.
Vanessa wouldn't do. It's not in her character, so
Yeah.
she's gonna pay for it. But yeah, so that's the journey of the second volume, and I won't tell you how it ends. Oh God,
Yeah. Don't.
it's another kind
I
of
want to.
heartbreaker.
I
But
want
yeah,
to
no,
read it.
my editor would kill me. Mad Cave would kill me. Um,
No, I want to read
but
it.
yeah,
I want to experience. I mean, especially like, you know, you wrote in the trade. You wrote a little bit of, um, I don't know if it was like an introduction or
yeah, I
you
always
had a little
insist
part
on putting an author's
like
note
dear
in there. I think
reader.
I drive him crazy.
Which I appreciate. I like to know that. It's why I do this podcast. I like to talk, like, talk to folks about their story and about, why they're, you know, making what they're making, whether or not it's just, oh, this thing happened to me and this is how I deal with it. I turned it into a story, or if it's just like I had this like weird idea and I just thought it'd be cool. Yeah, great.
Right.
Whatever it is, let's talk about it. Doesn't, um, but, I think I had read, because I had read Kill Train first and then went and, like, read the trade recently to kind of prepare, for this talk, and something you had said in that, and when you kind of see it, uh, come out in the comic book, is one of the more remarkable, you know, parts of it is how Vanessa really, sees herself, and especially when her daughter says, like, "You're a great mom," and she's like, "I'm trying," and, like, you kinda see her kinda come to terms, like, with you can see that Vanessa feels like a failure for over a lot of things or is struggling with a lot of different things, and that's a big part of, like, Kill Train, her kinda coming to terms with how she sees herself, but yeah, doing that through, her relationship with, an old friend, and then doing that through the relationship with her daughter. And then it's surrounded by so much blood and guts,
Yeah,
so
I
much
know.
viscera. Like, listeners, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. If you listen to the first Kill Train episode, we're gonna talk about the college try, I promise, because I love that too. But this is like Kill Train Part 2. It is this really, really emotional story about this woman coming to terms with how other people see her, how that does not match how she sees herself. And then there is just so much beheadings, so many beheadings. I mean, I
Yeah, it
wanted
is
to do like
definitely
a
the most
beheading
gruesome
count.
thing out. Yeah.
It's it's unbelievable. And then the odd thing is, like, you could have told a story like this that was as emotionally resonant and covered this theme, and you could have done it in like a million different ways. And the fact that it works so well in something called Kill Train that is so bloody disgusting is absolutely, it's one of the things I love about comics. This is like a story about it. This is like Gilmore Girls, but everyone's getting murdered on a train. I don't think you understand what this
Oh
comic is
my god, I've
like.
never gotten that comp before. That's amazing. That's amazing. That's great.
So
Yeah, it's like I've gotten The Purge meets Speed. but on a
Yeah.
subway train. But the
But that
Purge meets Speed meets Gilmore Girls, that
yeah.
is
You know,
that's amazing.
you have to account for the emotional relationship of Vanessa and Corwin, and then Vanessa and Kay. You know, The Purge meets Speed doesn't do, I think, that the emotional quality of that justice. But yeah, in any event. All right, enough about Kill Train. Everybody go read Kill Train. Go get it, please. You can still get it, and they're going to be like a 2, so you got to read 1 to get ready for 2. But now we're
Yes,
going to
and if you want a
totally switch
signed
gears.
copy, I
Oh,
just got a bunch more copies from the publisher. So if you want a signed copy, you're welcome to order through my website. So unfortunately, you have to pay for shipping if you order it from me. I'm sorry, but I don't charge anything extra for the signature. But yeah, you can get a signed copy from me if you want. But anyway, yes, on to the college
awesome.
try.
Well, I'll put links in the listeners, as always. I'll put links in the show notes for all that stuff. So you'll be able to just click on a link in the show notes, and then it'll take you right to those places, to either Maverick and Mad Cave's website or Olivia's website. So now we're going to totally switch gears.
Completely.
Completely. No, I don't really think there's any blood and guts in the college try. But what uh like what a wonderful story. I mean, I love kind of like time travel-y stuff,
I
but
know. Magical realism is the best. It really is.
yeah, so the college try, Rachel goes to her 20-year
College
reunion
reunion. Yeah.
and ends up going back to her sophomore year, like, in college, like, just wakes up and she is in the body of herself when she was in a sophomore in college. I do, though. I don't complain a lot. I like to keep it positive
Oh,
on
that's
this
okay. Come on, give it to
podcast,
me.
but I want to say I got to page 3 of the college try, and Rachel is on a date, and she says it's like men in their 40s are so old they don't even want to try anymore. So that, as someone who's 46, I mean, I know I'm not out there dating. I'm married, and I have 2 kids and all that, but still, it was a little hurtful to read a sentence that had 40s and so old in it. So
Okay, but look,
I did.
she's in her 40s too, right? She's in her 40s too. Yes, she's ragging on dudes. But come on, Jimmy, you know story structure. In the beginning,
I
the
do.
character has unlikable qualities and she's not behaving well. And we're going to see this
Yes.
whole arc to get her to realize that she's been going about things all wrong. So, yes, actually, but the opening scene was kind of to show like why she's terrible at dating. And yeah, if you're going to insult a dude to his face, it's not gonna work out
I mean,
well.
honest, he didn't seem great, to be to be honest, but
Oh, he was
I
fine, but he had
uh,
cats.
yeah, he
Yeah.
had a lot of cats. I did love the fact that Rachel, uh, Rachel was a stand-up comedian. I mean, one, because I'm just a fan of stand-up comedy, and I think would hope that now in 2026, like, things do change, but I really do think, like, female comedians in particular, female stand-up comedians, like historically speaking, have had a much tougher go at it. Like, I feel like sometimes female stand-up comics can get away with a lot yet less. There's a lot more criticism on
A
them.
lot more criticism.
I do feel like it's changed somewhat. Well, I mean, I'm not in stand-up comedy, so that's just
Well, listen,
anecdotal,
I
but
was very, very briefly, when I was in my very early 20s and I had just moved out to LA. I mean, everything about this book is personal, and I'll get into all of it, but, yeah, I
yeah.
wanted to make
No,
her a stand-up.
please.
You got it. I wanted to make her a stand-up comedian because I love characters that are just funny. I love funny characters, right? So she needed to be funny to me because I gave this chick so many unlikable qualities that if she wasn't funny and entertaining to watch and just like energized, you wouldn't like her in the beginning, and you have to like her to go on this journey. But she's got a long way to go at the start of the story. But I did when I was in my very early 20s, I worked at the Laugh Factory. I was a hostess at the Laugh Factory. And when you're seeing comedy every night, it's like a rhythm. It starts to get into your bones. And I used to start, thinking like a comic, and I would go through my day and it was just like it was in my head. I was finding jokes and I was just like, okay, well, why don't I try and do this? And so, of course, I had all these friends in stand up because I was working at the Laugh Factory, and there was a little place in Beverly Hills that was being hosted by this comic and Jay Davis, who's been in comedy forever. He introduced me, and so she put me on one night. I went up after one of my favorite comedians, Brian Scalero, who could not believe that it was my first time on stage. But anyway, so I do my set, and I am so nervous that I don't even remember what happened. I had to my mom was there randomly. I had to ask my mom afterwards if anybody laughed. She was like, "Yeah, they did. It was fine." But I do remember very well. So I'm on the stage. There was a male MC who was going in between sets. I'm standing on the stage and there was it was like a half wall behind me. So from about maybe just above my waist down, there was a mirror on the back wall, and then it was regular wall up. So I get off stage, and the MC that comes up after me said, "Well, I don't know what she was talking about because I was just staring at her ass in the mirror the entire time. Can I get an amen?" And everyone echoed him, and I was so hurt. It's I had prepared my 7 minutes. I had the tightest 7 minutes, and I had gotten up there and gotten through it, and it was a blaze. And that was what I got after I got off stage. And I hated it, but at the time, I didn't question it. It was like, "Oh, well, that's what I signed up for." It didn't seem like something wrong had happened. It was only years later that I looked but when I was watching Hacks, that I looked back at that
Okay.
moment and I thought, "Oh, man, I should have torn that guy a new one." But I didn't. I just totally accepted it and moved on. But yeah, the comedy world for women, I don't know what it's like now because I'm not in it. But I do support it. I love Eliza Schlesinger. She's also exactly my age. So it's perfect for me. Um, but yeah, it's a tough racket, and you have to be a very certain you have to be a certain type of person to survive that. You have to be kind of tough, but as anyone in comedy can tell you, you'll never meet a non-wounded comedian in some way, shape, or form. And Rachel is very much that character. And the reason I wrote this book, you were kind of talking about the premise.
Yeah.
It's the reason she goes to this 20-year reunion is because she's single. Obviously, we talked about how she's terrible at dating. She gets this anonymous note and she convinces herself that it's from this guy that she dated in college that broke up with her sophomore year. So the only reason she goes to the reunion is that a chance to win him back. And then when that doesn't work out, she ends up getting punched in the face by this chick, and that's how she ends up going back in time, which sounds totally random, but it ends up making sense later on. Um, but yeah, so she ends up going back to 2003, which was a trip in and of itself, to write what went wrong because I am a huge Quantum Leap fan. OG Quantum Leap. Love me some Scott Bakula. That was my only celebrity crush ever. Not even, James Vanderbeek from Dawson's Creek. No, I was Scott Bakula girl. So, but of course the what she thinks needs to be righted is she's not exactly going in the right direction, but she figures it out.
Right.
And, a lot of this came from when I was it's such a weird Oberlin story to tell because I feel like anyone who didn't know they were gay but was gay going into Oberlin came out gay but somehow I totally missed the message and I went in and questioning and came out straight, but I wasn't. It was totally, I don't know. I missed the boat. I missed the education. I spent too much time probably in the theater. But there was I dated, primarily guys, but there was, there were two chicks that I'd had crushes on when I was at Oberlin. And one of them we kept kind of, finding each other year after year, but I never explored it. I never went for it. And I think, at the time I always feel like I'm giving myself an excuse, but it was the early aughts. It was a little bit different, and the feeling for me very much was like this was during a time where like coming out parties were huge, and every gay movie you saw was a coming out story. There were no stories about like gay people just being, like just normal folks that still
Yeah.
like go to the grocery store. I don't know what I thought that like if I
Yeah.
were to entertain this relationship, I'd have to like walk around with rainbow flags everywhere. Like I don't know what it was that I thought, but it felt like either you're all in or you're all out. And I thought I had to change who I was. I didn't realize that none of that was necessary. And
Yeah.
so I always looked back at this time in my life and regretted it, not for the reason that like we would have ended up together or anything, but just that I would have had the balls to do it and to, see what it was like and know that part of myself. So that's and I've carried this around with me for a long time. And the idea for the college try I had for a couple years before Mad Cave picked it up. I don't think I had pitched it that many times before. I think it just kind of it just happened to be like a perfect open window for this idea. And I was like, oh, here. Um, but yeah, it was really personal for that reason. And the banner moment. I did that.
Really?
I did
That's
that. I know, and I felt terrible about it, and so but this is, like, how much of a dork I am. I've thought, because okay, so for those of you who don't know, and this isn't spoiling anything, but there's a subplot in the story where in the past, Rachel made fun of this girl's banner. She made a school banner, and Rachel didn't know that she had made it, and she openly mocked it in front of people and really hurt this girl's feelings, and I did that. I had no idea that this chick had made this banner. And, I mocked it in front of some friends, and she told me off later, but because I didn't know that she had made the banner, I didn't know why she was telling me off. I was just like, "Okay, cool." So it took me a little while to put the pieces together, but once I did, I felt terrible about it, but I never reached out to I mean, we weren't friends, but I never reached out to apologize. So I felt like all this time has passed. The apology has to be pretty big now. So why don't I put this story in a book and it's, you don't have the dedication page in the PDF that was sent to you, I don't think, but, I dedicated it
yeah.
to the 2 chicks that I had crushes on at Oberlin because they seemed to know a lot more about me than I knew about myself back then, and, then there's also a dedication to Natalie, and it says that I was a jerk and a half, so, Natalie, if you ever hear any of this or read the book, if you ever find it, I'm really sorry. I really was a jerk and a half, and I should have apologized to you a long time ago, but, 20 years, we're
Oh
still
wow.
here. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really sweet that you did that. I do. And it also is kind of like a pivotal moment in the beginning and like later on in the story.
Yeah, it keeps
I
going
I
back.
yeah, it does keep coming back to haunt Rachel, or at least to be something that she has to deal with. I mean, I graduated college, what, like 2001. So yeah, it was there was a part of this kind of like the nostalgia element of it, because like Rachel goes back, and when she realizes like what has happened, she's now back in sophomore year of college. Like all the little nods to that period of time, 20 years ago, were like very funny. Like
I
the
know,
the
I
how
coulda gone
she
on for pages and pages with those. I
yeah,
I I had to put it all in one page, unfortunately, but yeah, so I got in
yeah,
Skechers, I got in Blockbuster Video, I got
yes.
in, Bush protesters,
Yep.
um,
Um,
and a phone book,
the
and a
an
computer lab.
iPod and
Yes,
an
okay,
iPod.
iPad, and JNCOs.
The JNCOs I thought was
Love
really funny.
JNCOs. Hang on to if you still have your JNCOs, either put them on eBay or hang on to them.
I think they're back now, right?
They are oh my god, you should see the pants that my daughter is asking me to buy her now, my 11-year-old. I'm like, "I don't know how are you going to walk in them?" It's like you're gonna be a walking balloon person, but but you know what? I'm not like my parents, and I don't laugh at her. I'm like, "Fine, you want that? Here, see if you can pull these off. If you can shuffle your way to school and back in them, then you're good."
But yeah, I loved all that aspect of it. But yeah, I like how because we see Rachel in the very beginning, she's kind of moved in with her friend Scout, And so Scout, they knew each other in college, so Scout is back in the picture. But I like how she had a friend to kind of like confide in, that she had, was able to tell Scout like, hey, I'm from the future. Although it's funny how there's like no way for her to prove it because all the things
Yeah.
she really knows they're not going to happen for like a long time. But yeah, I really liked their friendship. I kind of really liked seeing Rachel kind of like having to do it all again. But yeah, I did like the quantum leap of it, like for any quantum leap fans, or well, I guess for listeners who aren't familiar with quantum leap, Sam goes back in time and Al tells him what he has to fix, and he can't leap to his next assignment
But the difference, of
until he
course, that
fixes
he
it.
leaps into different bodies and Rachel has leapt
Yeah.
into herself. So she
Self,
kind of
yeah.
knows more or less like what's going to happen
Right.
and when. But she does there's other nods to things that happened in the early aughts because Rachel stages a flash mob. And if she
Yes.
were to have staged a flash mob in 2003, that would have been the first flash mob. But then, of course,
Yeah.
what she realizes is that no one knows what a flash mob is, and so they get in trouble with campus security because they think that they're flashers, because like that was
Yeah.
a thing then, right? Yeah,
Yeah, they're
yeah.
gonna
So there's
yeah.
there's a lot of fun stuff, and that's why it's
Right.
interesting to me that they decided Mad Cave Studios decided to put this under the Maverick umbrella because I mean, it takes place in college and these are young people and it's a rom-com, but it's really for people our age. It's and anyone, I guess, who's fantasized about going back in time. And like that scene you were talking about where she tries to prove that she's from the future. Have you not thought about this a million times? Like if you went back in time, how would you prove to anyone that you had gone back
Oh
in
yeah,
time? Do you not think about this? Like how
I
would you
think about
do it?
it. I think about it. I think about it all the time.
I
Like,
know, me
yeah,
too.
how would I do it? Yes, it's like
What a
I
weird
don't,
thing.
I don't, I don't know any. I think about it a lot. It's like a fun, daydream or thought experiment. One, because like I like the football as we record this, the football, the AFC and NFC championship games are today. So I like watch football, but I don't watch it closely enough to like remember you know, who won what year. Like
Oh,
I couldn't do that. If I went back in time and they're like, "Oh, who wins the World Series this year?" I'm like, I don't unless it was the Phillies. I don't I got 2008. That's what I got. And I know that they lost in 93 to the Blue Jays. So I got two. Unless but if I don't go in one of those years, I can't use that I can't use a sport to prove it. But
right,
yeah,
and you also can't use it for investment advice, which is another
right.
thing that I always fantasize about going back in time and telling people what to invest in. So, that is also a scene in this.
I
She ends up with a
yeah.
very handsome check when
Yeah.
which, by the way, that's one thing that I kinda had to fudge because if oh gosh, what is the character's name now? Bianca, right? Yeah, if
Bianca,
she
yeah.
actually were to follow the advice that Rachel gives her in the past, she would have made so much more. Like, I had to and then I was like, "Okay, so what would, like" at first okay, when I first drafted the book, it was like Rachel's like, "All I want is, like, 5%." 5% would have been so many millions of dollars that I felt like the readers would hate me. So I had to, like, make it 1%, and then I had to, like, dial it back even from that number. But yeah, that was
Yeah,
a
that's
really
wild.
fun sequence, and it was funny because I think, like, that was one of the scenes where my editor was like, "Oh, can you cut this stuff out?" And I was like, "No, I cannot. I have fantasized so many times about going back in time and giving people investment advice that this has to stay."
I
So, yeah, it's
I
a little,
really
what was that movie where, like,
yeah,
it's the dad and the son, like, talking over a radio signal from the past to the present?
Frequency.
Do you remember? Yes,
Yeah.
okay. I remember how he
It's,
tells them to invest in
Dennis
Yahoo.
I think it's Dennis Quaid and
Yeah.
Jim Caviezel, isn't that it for Frequency?
Yeah,
Yeah,
very good. Yeah, but
yeah.
then, there's another actor in it who was also, like, in Truman Show, and I'm forgetting his name right now, but he's the one they tell to invest in Yahoo. Which is so funny now, cause like, should you?
Yeah,
But
I don't
anyway,
know.
I
Yeah,
always loved that scene, so and I
yeah.
loved that movie, so that was another, like, probably, like, subtle inspiration for this as well.
No, I really, I mean, I thought it was, I thought the book's very funny. Like, I really laughed throughout a lot of it. I mean, I don't know how much I thought Rachel was fun to watch, um, or well, look at. I mean, it's not a movie, but like to read and like go through the panels. Like I thought she was a bit of a disaster. I thought it was like kind of fun. I don't know how much I liked her until maybe halfway through the book. Like
Right.
when she kind
Yeah.
of started to get it, I really did. I really liked Scout. I thought I liked how um because they're trying to make their movie for the project that they're doing. I liked a lot of the other characters, like her core group of friends. Bianca, you've already mentioned, and Matt, I think is the other guy.
Yeah.
Um, and then yeah, I really liked a lot the characters in it. I really liked the friendships and interaction. I really liked her trying to figure it out. And I thought the interesting thing about Rachel character-wise is she is kind of so obsessed with thinking that she knows what, like, rather than, I think if it were me, right, and I go back in time and I gotta figure out what it is, like, I'm uh, much more cautious in terms of, like, what is the plan and executing it. Like, Rachel is so confident that she knows what the right thing to do is, that she just flings herself in any direction, like, to sometimes, not great consequences, and,
Yeah.
I mean, I I admired that a little bit, that she was a bit of her, like, own worst enemy in trying to figure out what it was, but, like, once she kind of, like, settles in and it starts to click, she is very sweet, she's got a big heart, she just sometimes gets in her own way, and I just thought,
Right.
I don't know, I mean, you wrote her. That's just what I thought when I'm reading it, but
No, and it's a really important note because I think, when you're constructing these stories where you have a protagonist that has a long way to go, right? You want to give them they say that you can construct a pretty gnarly antihero but if they're good at their job, then people will want to watch them, which I thought was really interesting.
okay.
So I kind of took that advice. I
Yeah.
knew I wanted to take a deeply flawed person and take them on a journey of self-realization and coming out of it on the other side a better person. And
Yeah,
to
okay.
really have those journeys kind of pay off, you need to start them in a place where you don't really dig them that much, but she's funny and she's good at her job, right? She can make people laugh and she says things that are funny. The opening, God, the jokes, it took me so long to settle on what jokes to have in that opening and the date, the golf course with the putter and then there's a Terminator reference. Like that took a really long time. Um, but a way that I feel like, for any of you that are creators out there or wonder kind of like what goes on, when you're thinking about, okay, so how do I create an unlikable character at first, but the audience is still rooting for her? And I think the key to it was exactly what you said. It's Scout. Because even if you're not rooting for Rachel necessarily in the beginning, you're rooting for Scout because the reader knows immediately what's up. For the most part.
Yeah,
There might be some
I think
guessing, but
so.
like yeah, pretty like shortly into it. Like who wrote the note, who is in love with Rachel, and you want to see her get what she wants. So again, even if you're not necessarily rooting for Rachel, you're like, Rachel, you're such a disaster case. You're still sitting
Yeah,
there going, I really want to see Scout get what she wants. Please fucking figure it out already.
yeah,
So I think that's a way that you can have these types of kind of controversial. You can have a protagonist that the reader would not want to have lunch with at first and still follow the story. So it's interesting. You're not the first person to say that. Like at first I was like, "Oh, but I loved Scout." So,
yeah,
so it's
yeah.
yeah, you still follow the story.
Oh, yeah, and I mean, it does, like, and some of the things you put in there, like you said, like, it's this isn't a thriller, this isn't a mystery where you're trying, like,
No, this is
Rachel's
my
trying to
first
figure stuff
rom-com,
out.
by the way.
Yeah.
It's a big departure from the blood and guts we were talking about earlier.
Well, it is a big departure from that, but, I mean, structurally, it's sound, and it is very funny, and I did really enjoy spending time with these characters, and I mean, and I s just I mean, I said this already, I'm repeating myself, but the way that Rachel just is convinced she knows, like, even before she goes back in time, like, when you said the reason she goes to the reunion is
Right.
because she thinks this guy wrote this note and he wants to meet her after, like, I mean, it has been 22 years, and, uh, this guy she dated sophomore year of college, and Scout is just, like, the guy that, like, made you breakfast and then broke up with you, like, I didn't you date him for 4 months? It's like, and she's just, like, hell-bent on, "I know what's up," but,
But
like,
to
that
her
is
credit, the note does I mean, there are, like, a lot of similarities to that you know what I mean? You can see why she would have put those pieces together,
yeah,
right? It makes
yeah, I
sense.
can see why, but, yeah, it does. It makes sense as to why she does it, but, like, all those little things that you kinda seeded into it, I just think were, were they were good for the story, and they were good for Scout and, like, Rachel's friendship, but they also told a lot about both of their, characters, I think, as well. Like, one of those things you can put into a story that tells you a little bit about what's going on and tells you a little bit about the people, like, the fact that Rachel was still so convinced it was Jason Smith,
Yeah.
and,
Oh, very good.
the fact that Scout, was just, like, the guy you dated for 4 months? I just yeah, so I really loved it. It was such a departure. I mean, so in between shoveling, I reread Mary Shelley, Monster Hunter, Kill Train, and The College Try. So I've had a day. But a
Wow,
lot of
yeah, you've been
emotions.
inundated. Yes,
I'm
a
feeling a lot of
lot.
things.
A lot of women's issues. You
Like, well,
a lot of
I got a
women's
wife,
issues.
I got 2 daughters, so, I'm getting an education. It's good. It's good.
Yeah.
We're growing,
Okay.
we're changing.
Yeah, you're already inundated. I guess it's a good thing that you like musicals and, you're well
Yeah.
suited for where you are.
I am, I am.
But
My
thank
oldest
you for
daughter.
reading all of that.
Yeah, no, oh, my pleasure. I was excited to get to talk to you again, but my oldest daughter, Charlotte, the one who you met, who was at Baltimore Comic Con with me, she's really into musicals. She's doing her school show. They're doing Shrek Junior this season, so she's Donkey, so she's really excited
Oh
about
my
that.
god, that's
Uh,
great.
yeah, and
That's
in the
awesome. What a
spring,
great
in
part.
I know. We're very, very, very excited for her to do that. And then in the spring, I'm taking her to Philly to see the Outsiders musical. We haven't seen that
Okay.
yet, so
Yeah,
it's
that's
coming to
here. I
Philly in
don't
the
really know
spring.
much about it. Is it supposed to be good? I live under a rock. All I do is like write comic books, pitch comic books, write TV pitches. Like I people were getting on my case because I haven't seen Sinners. I haven't even seen oh my god, this new show that's on HBO that everyone's talking about. Heated Rivalry, I haven't even seen. Like
Oh yeah, I haven't. I I only just started watching The Pit because my wife started
oh
to watch
wait,
it. So
season 1?
no, I started on season 2. She had watched season 1 without me, so I started on season 2 of The Pit.
Okay, well, go watch
Yeah,
season 1. It's
yeah.
really, really good, and I'm
That's
glad
yeah,
that they survived because, I think there was a pretty big lawsuit. It was supposed to be ER too,
yeah.
and
And then
then
I
they
heard
were like,
the
"Oh,
estate
wait, then
of
we" Sorry?
yeah, I heard that I heard that the estate who has the rights to ER wouldn't give them the rights to basically have Noah Wiley's character be the same.
I don't think well, I don't know. What I heard, it wasn't that they were
Oh,
withholding the rights, but they wanted to be paid for them, and the production realized, like, "Oh, well, we can get around paying if we just make him a different doctor," and they kinda got caught.
that that sounds like a
Um,
very Hollywood lawsuit.
yeah, it also, like, when I heard about it, I was like, "That's totally something I would do."
But yeah,
But,
so I've started season 2. watched a couple of episodes. It's very good. I haven't seen Sinners yet either. I got to watch Sinners. I want to check that out,
Yeah,
especially since it's now like 16 Academy Award nominations. I got to
yeah,
watch it. So
we have
I
to watch
know.
it. I know. I just started it, but I'm terrible. Like I can't. I've realized my whole life, I think I felt bad about the fact that, like, I don't know 90% of the movies that, like, cinephiles reference and, like, TV people and all of this. And I've just accepted that there are people who make things and there are people who watch things, and I'm just someone who makes things. When I sit
Okay.
and watch things, like, I have, like, 2 failed marriages under my belt, and this is probably why, although I have to give credit to the second one because he never gave me any shit about this, but I cannot sit through anything. I get up constantly. I, like, wanna get something else to drink. I wanna, like, go check my phone. I'm gonna, like, get another snack. I go to the bathroom, like, 15 times. There's something about me that, like, if you task me with sitting down and watching a show, like, I cannot relax. But if you sit me at my computer and it's like, write a pitch or an outline, like, I won't get up until it's done. It's very, very strange, and it's sad. It's
Yeah.
sad for me because I have this beautiful couch, and I look at it all the time, and when I'm tired, I fantasize, I'm just gonna be on my couch, I'm gonna get some popcorn, I wanna watch a movie. 15 minutes, and I'm up walking around looking for something to do. It's
Ugh.
terrible.
Well, we'll both try and watch Sinners.
Yes.
I
Really
used to
hard with
watch
it.
I used to watch everything. Like when Netflix first came out and you could get the DVDs through the mail, I went through AFI's top 100 movies and I watched every one of them that were available through Netflix. And then I don't know. Maybe you're right. Maybe that's what it is because like
Then
right
you
around the
had
time
kids.
when I had
Then you had
kids,
kids.
and so that stopped it for a while. But now, like in the past 5 years, I've had the podcast, and then I started writing comics myself, and now I
Really,
barely
Jimmy?
get.
You didn't say. Well, okay,
Yeah,
you should give me something of yours to read, and then we can do this in reverse.
my well, listeners of the podcast know, but yeah, my first. It's an all ages. It's like a kid's graphic novel is coming out through Paper Cuts April 21st. It's called Penny and the Yeti. I'll send you a copy there. I'll
Oh
send
my
you a
gosh, so
PDF if
you're
you want to
working with
read it.
Mad Kid Studios too.
Yeah,
Oh
I
my
am.
god, it's all in the family. Congratulations, Jimmy. That's huge. I
Thank
can't
you.
wait.
Yes,
So
I'm
wait,
very excited.
so we're probably gonna be like signing books together and stuff at some point.
Maybe. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what it is I'm gonna do. But my local comic shop is gonna have a signing on May 2nd, which, the traditionally free comic book day. So that'll be my first signing. So yeah,
Well,
I'm looking forward to it.
you said okay, so it's coming out in the spring. So you have to come to
Yeah.
New York Comic Con in the fall then because Mad Cave Studios always has a big ass booth and they have signings like
Yeah.
all day long.
Yeah, I'm trying to make
That
that
is
work
so
out. So
exciting. Yes. Oh,
yeah.
great.
Well, I'll send you a PDF of it if you want to check it out. No
Yes,
pressure.
please. I would love that.
Okay. Well, thank you. But Olivia, this has been an amazing way to spend a Sunday evening after walking dogs and shoveling the
Holy
snow.
snow.
Um, so listeners, uh, if you can still get it, Mary Shelley Monster Hunter that came out
You
through
can.
Aftershock,
Yeah, it's, I think it's
and
even
yeah,
get it on Amazon.
oh,
Or,
perfect.
no,
I
actually, you
love.
can get it on my website too. I have a bunch of copies.
Oh, okay. I will put a link to the show notes, as I said. But Kill Train, we got everyone. You got to read. Kill Train's amazing. You got to read Kill Train before Kill Train 2. But yes, The College Try. It is a rom-com. It has some quantum leap in its DNA, but it is a wonderful story. It was so funny, and I really loved it. So it'll be out February 18th. It's coming
Yeah,
out through
just in
Maverick.
time for not Valentine's Day.
Yes, just in time. Well, you know what? If you have a crappy Valentine's Day, then you can go and get this. And you're like, oh, well,
Yes.
what a lovely, what a lovely story. I wish I had this story, but hopefully everyone, listeners, you do have a nice St. Valentine's Day if, you celebrate that sort of thing. But Olivia, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jimmy.
All right, listeners, rate, review us, do all the thing they tell you to do about podcasts, as I say in every episode, because it really, it does help. And yeah, thank you so much for listening. Good night. I will see you next time.